Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Putuna Syaira binti Muhammad Syarizat, and today I'm going to present to you types of crops. First, let me introduce you to feed crops. What is feed crops? Feed crops are harvested for livestock consumption. These crops contain nutrients that animals need to develop. They are grown in agricultural fields but can also be found in natural meadows and pastures. What is the importance of feed crops, or we can say as forage crops, are important for livestock farming. Animals feed directly on forages, such as grasses. Forages that are cut and fed to livestock while they are still fresh are called green chop. Alfalfa is a popular crop fed to livestock as green chop. What is an example of feed crop? We can say as principal feed crops include alfalfa, corn, barley. Each of these has different properties that are better suited for some animals' diet than others. We can say as barley, which is harder to digest, is most often fed to beef and dairy cattle because they have a tough, four-chamber stomach. Next, let us continue with fiber crops. So, what is fiber crops? Fiber crops are grown for the natural fiber that is used in manufacturing industries. Such crops were known for their high concentration of cellulose, which made them strong. Fiber crops can help ease the difficulties of fiber production. Problems are encountered during storage of fiber crops. The crops are usually stored for a long period, sometimes months. Hence, it is essential to protect against the elements that might cause the rot like water. For example, for fiber crops can be cotton. The most popular fiber crops in the world is harvested from the light, fluffy ball of fiber that surrounds the plant seeds. Textiles made the bamboo are manufactured from the pod of bamboo plants. Let's move on to industrial crops. Industrial crops are normally not sold directly for consumption because they need to be industrially. Industrial crops is grown to produce goods for manufacturing, for example, fiber for clothing, rather than food for consumption, and harvested for their products used in factories or machines. Industrial crops include all crops used in the production of industrial goods. For example, for industrial crops is rubber. Rubber is produced naturally from a wide variety of plants, but predominantly from the hevea tree indigenous to the Amazon region. Rubber is harvested for its latex. When latex mixed with chemicals, latex creates solid rubber blobs called curds. Rubber curds are pressed between rollers to remove excess moisture and to form sheets. The sheets are packed and shipped for use in tires, machine belts, shoe soles, and other products.
So now we go through the types of elements for crops. There are three types of crops, which is feed crops, fiber crops, and industrial crops. So, for feed crops, elements that are required are nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, and potassium are the most frequently required in a crop fertilization program. Nitrogen is necessary for the formation of amino acids, protein, DNA, and RNA. It is essential for plant cell division and vital for plant growth. So, nitrogen is the most critical element for grass plants because it is often deficient and yields obvious benefits. Nitrogen fertilization on forage generally increase yield and crude protein content of cool and warm season grasses. Stored carbohydrates are reduced, which produce a more succulent plant. Plants normally contain between 1 and 5% nitrogen absorbed for plant utilization. Too much nitrogen may result in animal disorders related to high nitrate, alkaloid content, or hypomagnesemia. Some plants are more susceptible to lodging disease or insect invasion. For the phosphorus makes up about 0.1 and 0.4% of a plant and is involved in energy storage and transfer, full growth, early maturation, quality, and disease resistance. Next is potassium. Potassium concentration is vegetative tissue usually range from 1 to 4% of dry matter. Plants absorb nitrogen and potassium in compounds, but the potassium ion is absorbed as influence enzyme activity, water and energy relations, transpiration and transcoagulation, and nitrogen uptake and protein synthesis. For sulfur is absorbed by plant roots as a sulfate ion. Plants can be dosed with elemental sulfur. Normally, sulfur concentration range between 0.1 and 0.4%. Deficiencies in sulfur results in retarded growth, stunt, thin stem, and spindly plants. Some confuse a sulfur deficiency with a storage of nitrogen because of growth problems. Sulfur problems show up first in younger leaves, while nitrogen problems show up first in older leaves. Sulfur is crucial to proper plants' amino acids functioning. So, next is fiber crops. Fiber crops are plants that are deliberately grown for the production of fiber or textile types of fiber, which is bast fiber, leaf fiber, and seeds and fruit fiber. For bast fiber, it have rami, which is fiber plants grow along Chajiang River, edible with antibacterial function. Second, esparto, a fiber from grass. Jute, widely used, it is the cheapest fiber after cotton. Flax, produce linen. Indian hemp, the dog pen used by Native Americans. Next, hemp, a strong fiber and edible seeds. Next, woodbine, also used for barrel hoops and baskets. Edible leaves and medicines. Next, kenaf, the interior of the plant stem is used for its fiber. Beans, an edible seed, typically kidney-shaped, growing in long pots on certain leguminous plants. Next, Linsen bass, lotus used to produce lotus silk. Nettles, rami, a nettle stronger than cotton or flax. And lastly, papyrus, a pith fiber, a skin to bast fiber. Next, leaf fiber. Leaf fiber such as abaca, a banana, producing manila rope from leaves. Next, piña, from pineapple leaves. Then, sisal, a agave. Boasting hemp, a common house plant also. Sansevieria roxburghia. Then, henequen and agave, a useful fiber but not as high quality as sisal. Phormium, a New Zealand flax, and yucca, and agave relative. For seeds and fruit fiber, there are koi, the fiber from coconut husk, cotton, kapok, milkweed, grown for the filament-like peppers in its seed pods, loofah, a gourd which, when mature, produces a sponge-like mass of xylem used to make loofah sponge. And lastly, Willissima is a natural plant fiber obtained from Sida rombifolia of Malcave family. It was produced mainly in Philippines Islands. And lastly, industrial crops. Industrial crops such as oils, waxes, resins, rubbers, gums fibers, dyes, lettuces, sugars, starches, proteins, and energy production. So for industrial crops, include crops that cannot be used for food consumption such as cotton, tobacco, and jatropha, and crops that have non-uses but are also integral components of the food industry without being staple crops.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aisha and today I will be talking about the suitable fertilizers for crops, which is the last question for activity 6.11. Firstly, a brief introduction. Apart from treating acidic soil, fertilizers need to be added to soil to replace nutrients such as nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus that have been absorbed by plants. There is a variety of fertilizers in the market, but which of them are suitable? So as my friend Shah has stated, there are three types of crops, which are feed crop, fiber crop, and also industrial crops. Firstly, for feed crop. Feed crops like oats, wheat, and barley is relatively uncomplicated to other crops. The most crucial element that is needed is nitrogen. Too much nitrogen will cause reduction in test weight and plump kernels. However, too little nitrogen will cause tillering to be reduced, which can negatively affect the yield. As a rule of thumb, N fertilizer or nitrogen fertilizers at 40 to 80 kg per hectare has been found ideal for most growing conditions. Next, fiber crop. Fiber crops like cotton consumes nitrogen at double the amount of phosphorus and potassium. Hence, an NPK 20 to 10 to 10 fertilizer is more suitable. A common fertilization method applied by many fiber crops growers is adding 440 pounds of fertilizers. And last but not least, industrial crops. For industrial crops like rubber plants, need a high phosphorus fertilizer at their early growth stage as it will help facilitate healthy root growth. As the rubber plant matures, you must use an NPK fertilizer with a ratio of 24 to 8 to 16 to stimulate the rapid and bushier growth. The plant should be fertilized every 4 to 6 weeks and avoid over-fertilizing as it will cause the plant to be leggy. That's all from me. Thank you.